I've been playing Ready or Not on Steam since December of 2021 when it first came out. Back when there were levels that now no longer exist and current levels that have completely been overhauled. And today I'm going to teach you everything that I think will make you an expert at this game, from tips and tricks to learning about equipment, loadouts, movement, and even how to control your AI teammates. This is the ultimate beginner's guide to Ready or Not.
Dock to entry team. You are clear to proceed.
Now, when you first load into the game and end up on the main menu here, whether you're on PC or console, we're going to want to go into the options and take a look at a few settings before we get started. Now, inside the options tab here, we're first going to be looking at the gameplay section, and while most all of these settings are going to be preference, I recommend going down here to the HUD section and disabling all of these options. Now, the reason I recommend this is it's really going to get rid of all the text on the screen, any health bars, any names, any sort of information, and really give you that true, authentic, in-depth experience. Also, right below that under server and server-side checksum, we want to make sure this is disabled if we plan on playing with other people and we have mods installed. If you have mods and they have mods and this setting is enabled, you're going to run into some issues. So make sure server-side checksum is disabled if you're running mods. Now, heading up to the graphics tab. Now, again, this is going to be preference based on your setup, and if you're on PC or console, some of these settings will or will not be here. However, down here under Opti1 options, I recommend going full screen because it does actually make the tool much more useful and easier to use as well. Here's a quick example of what it looks like to use full screen mode. As we can see, we can easily spot the civilian there and over there, and we just have so much more detail. But if we go ahead and switch this to picture-in-picture mode, we're only going to be able to use the screen on the back here, and we can barely see much of anything. We can't really tell if that's a suspect or a civilian. We really can't even tell anyone's behind that glass. So the picture-in-picture mode definitely is going to add to that tactical realism, but sometimes it's just really hard to see. So totally up to you what you like more. Now up here under advanced graphic options, now this is probably going to be more relevant to PC users. If you find yourself needing a few more frames, make sure motion blur is off, VSync is off, per object shadows is disabled. Now down here under decal options, you can disable this if you need some more frames. However, this is going to be at the cost of the map not looking as good because these decals really do add a lot of cool detail to each map. And then you have additional graphics settings down here you can tweak to your preference. But by lowering or turning off the world decals, you will get an instant bump in frames. Next up under audio up here, I personally turn off music volume because I want that full immersive experience. I don't want music to play in the background every time I get in some sort of gunfight. So that's my recommendation here if you're after that full authentic immersive experience. But other than that, everything's up to you. Next up under the keyboard section, or your binds or your controls, depending on what system you're on, whether that's PC, Xbox, or PS5, one setting you're really going to want to look for here that's going to make your gameplay experience so much better, head over to this interaction tab, scroll down and look for this reload or check magazine and set that to whatever you want, and that way you're going to be able to reload, fast reload, and then check your ammo all in one button. So if you single tap, it'll reload. If you double tap, it'll fast reload, and if you hold it, it'll check your ammo. After that, the most useful thing in this game is this hold low ready or this toggle low ready. Now, personally, I use toggle low ready. In my case, on a PC, I'm using the caps lock. This is where you will bring your gun down to a low ready position, and when you toggle low ready, you're actually going to get an increase in movement speed. Now, of course, your gun's going to be down, so you have to use it wisely, but this extra boost in movement really does help when you're moving quickly around different maps or different levels. From here, we want to check the teamwork tab, and this is all the binds you're going to use in order to be able to control your AI teammates. Now, we'll get more into how to use the teammates later on because it does get a little complicated, but this is where you're going to really be able to fine-tune your binds and your controls when it comes to giving your AI teammates orders. Now, if you are playing on a PC, this is going to be a little bit easier easier, I recommend just using the middle mouse button to open up the interface, and then using the mouse wheel up or down to be able to scroll through your teams and commands. And then past that, it's up to you how you want to designate different controls and different orders. But one thing that's notable here is the hold command. I personally use left shift, and this is how you can kind of queue up your teammates, and before they actually do what you're telling them to, they're going to hold until you give them the execute command. Now again, we'll go over the AI teammate controls and how to use them later in this video, but just keep this hold command in mind because it really is a useful tool that you're going to want to get comfortable with, especially later in the game as the missions and the enemies get harder. The next tab is the replay tab. I personally don't record any replays in the game. I just use OBS or Streamlabs to record, but the option is here if you want to have the game record your replays. And finally, the miscellaneous tab. Again, total preference, up to you. I don't really have any recommendations here because it really is user dependent and what you prefer. Next up, under the accessibility tab, the most important thing here in my opinion is this highlight weapons tab. We're going to want to enable that, and what this is going to do is it's going to make it easier for us to find weapons that get dropped on the ground, especially in darker areas or on darker levels or maps. Sometimes a suspect will drop his gun and it might go flying, and who knows where it ends up. It might end up in a bush or under a car, and this makes it much easier to help you find it and secure it so you can get max points on a level. So while yeah, it does take a little bit of that immersion or that realism out of play, it definitely makes your life a lot easier because sometimes the weapons will drop or bounce or get stuck in a bush. And finally, up here on gamepad, of course, if you're on a controller, you're going to find all your settings in here. I personally don't have any specific recommendations considering I play on keyboard and mouse, but a lot of the same controls we just talked about are still going to be in this section. You're just going to have to go through them and fine tune them to your preference. Now that we've gone over all our settings, let's actually get into the actual game and start exploring the headquarters. So over here on the single player tab, we're going to want to click that, and we're going to see three options: Commander, Quick Play, and Training. Now, Commander is probably the most fun mode in this game. However, it's definitely a challenge and requires much more thought and planning. So as we're learning, let's just hop into Quick Play to kind of get a feel of things. Now, as soon as you load in the game, you're going to be in the headquarters. So feel free to explore this whole area. If you go outside, you can actually see downtown LA. It's pretty cool, or sorry, Los Sueños, but it's definitely worth spending some time to explore the whole headquarters and the outside because the developers really did a great job making this feel real and immersive. But for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and go over the two most important things relevant to playing the actual game. The first and most important one is over here, and that's the shooting range. Now, over here on the shooting range is where you're going to be able to try different guns, edit your loadout, edit your team's loadout, and there's also an area over here where you can actually practice with the guns. So first, right here on this window, you can interact with this table, and that's how you can modify your loadout. So if we go into this area, we can see our primary, secondary, our tactical, our armor, our ammo, our headwear, even how we're dressed. There's all sorts of different things that we can customize here, and we'll go over that in a little bit, but just know that that's this area here, and that's also where you're going to edit the loadout and the look of your AI teammates. Now, backing out of that menu, if we just go right back over here to the shooting range, if you actually want to practice with the gun that you're using or maybe a new setup, just simply walk up to one of the shooting range bays, use this right here to extend the target, and now you have full access to shoot, practice, reload, do whatever you want. All right, let's make another U-turn and head back to the very front where we actually loaded into the game. And right back over here is the briefing room. This is the second most important part of this game because this is where you're actually going to be able to select and start a mission. Once you go inside, you want to come over here to this table right here by this map and interact with the table, and you're going to see a handful of maps that you can play. In my opinion, the first level here, the gas station map, is the easiest, and as you work your way through the game, the levels become harder, the enemies are smarter, the maps are bigger and more complicated, there's more objectives, so definitely try and play this game in order. Now, if you also have any of the DLC, which personally I recommend beating the game first before buying the DLC. If you do have the DLC, it's going to be right here at the top, and you can just select through which part of the game you want to play. Let's say you're ready to play the first mission. Go ahead and click on it, click select mission, and you're not actually going to load into the mission. You're going to have the option to ready up or view the briefing. In most games, we probably would just ready up and get right to the point. However, in this game, it's actually relevant and worth your time to look at the briefing. So we're going to hold tab, look at the briefing. You can listen to that guy's spiel if you want. But what's most important here is getting a quick overview of all your objectives. So on this level, the gas station, we want to bring order to chaos, which is an objective on every level in this game. And that basically means you arrested or neutralized any enemies or suspects or contacts on the level. Basically anyone with a gun. We also want to rescue all the civilians. Now this is an objective on most, but not all of the missions in this game. And that essentially is detain any unarmed civilians or contacts at the scene. If any civilians die at any point, whether you shoot them, your teammates shoot them, or the suspect shoot them, you will fail this objective. Next, we have two objectives that are unique to this mission. In this case, we want to find Crystal Layton and we want to find the store manager, locate the civilian responsible for the initial call. This mission brief, while it is long to read, it's worth reading because, for example, if you look down here at the bottom, it literally says it's unlikely the suspects are wearing armor. They are armed and have demonstrated their intent to cause harm. We do know at least one of the suspects is carrying a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. So right there alone, when it comes to editing our loadout, which you probably will change for every single level you play, you might not need to bring heavy armor or armor-piercing rounds because the suspects don't seem to have armor, and it doesn't look like they're carrying any heavy rifles, just 9mm pistols. So you might be fine bringing light armor and maybe a submachine gun. It's totally up to you what you decide to bring on your loadout, but the information in the mission briefing might make it easier or give you a kind of a hint of what to bring with you. Now up top here, we have the civilians tab, and we can see the name and a picture of the civilians we may be on the lookout for while we're playing this level. Same with the suspect tabs. We get an idea of the way the suspects are going to look, their height, their weight, their build. Sometimes this can be really helpful, especially in dark areas, or if you just can't recognize who you come across on the level. You might have an idea that, okay, one of these suspects is 6 foot 180 and he looks like he's probably wearing a black hoodie. All right, we know that's probably not a civilian, so we got to be extra careful around that. And now finishing off the briefing section, we have a media tab and an audio tab. This is just to get a little more storyline and a little more immersion if you care about that. Most notably though, down here is a map, and this is actually very helpful. Now, every map is going to be different depending on the mission itself. In this case, we have a blueprint of the gas station, and this just gives you a really good overview of the 1 side, the 2 side, 3 side, and 4 side, which, especially if you're playing with teammates or with friends, you guys can have a little bit more organization and coordination depending on, let's say, maybe you're going to go through the front here to the sales floor, and one of your friends is going to go here on the 2 side through the, looks like the bathroom, the back area here, and maybe you have one of your other friends come in on the 4 side through the freezer room, and we can see that leads to the sales floor. So maybe you guys are all going to go in at the same time, and your friend on the 2 side is going to flash in here and then come in right and clear this side here while you come straight up the middle and your friend comes around this way. I don't know, whatever you want to do. There's so many ways to plan out your missions, but taking a look at the map is not only a really good way to do that, it's also a good way to familiarize yourself with the kind of areas you're going to be seeing on the actual level. So again, you have this big wide open sales floor here, and as you make your way through, it looks like to the kitchen, office, and break room, there's going to be some tight corners and a lot of doors and walkways and open areas. So maybe you need a few more flashbangs, a little more coordination, or maybe even a shield. So take a look at the map, just know that lives here, and it'll give you a lot of good information before you head into the actual level. It's also really good just in case you get lost. And most importantly, all the information we just looked at is in your actual tablet, and you can bring this up at any point during the mission. In my case, I press tab to lower it or hold it to open it, but you can always refer back to this to check your objectives, civilians, suspects, or your map at any point during your mission. Now that we have a good understanding of our actual mission, let's go ahead and actually set a loadout for ourselves and our teammates before we actually load in. Now remember, to change our loadout, we need to head over to the shooting range and specifically into the armory and then interact with this table right here. Now on the loadout screen, of course, there's going to be so many things we can customize and change, but let's consider the mission briefing we just looked at for the gas station level and make a loadout specifically for that mission. Again, you're probably going to do this for every single mission based on the briefing and the information that you get. So if we remember, the briefing said the suspects are probably not wearing any armor and they just have small caliber guns like 9mm semi-automatic pistols. So knowing that, we definitely don't need heavy armor because this is just going to slow us down for no reason. So let's go ahead and throw in some light armor and let's just cover front and back. Now there are 3 different types of plates that we can wear, and the easiest way to think about this is from left to right: lighter, medium, heavy. Ceramic is more durable at the cost of movement speed. Kevlar is not as durable, but you will move faster. In this case, we know the suspects don't have any big caliber weapons, so we're probably fine with Kevlar. Now, directly below that, we can see our primary ammunition and our sidearm ammunition. And even though we haven't picked a rifle or a pistol yet that we're going to bring with us, it said the suspects are most likely not going to have armor. So I'm only going to bring 1 magazine with armor piercing rounds just in case we do come across a suspect that happens to have armor, and I'm going to just bring more JHP rounds because this is going to put down suspects not wearing armor much more effectively than armor piercing rounds would. Same with our sidearm. I'm going to do 1 magazine of armor piercing rounds and 1 magazine of JHP rounds so we have that flexibility. Now, quick side note, when it comes to selecting your armor, the armor that you select is going to have an impact on how much equipment and how much ammo or magazines you can bring with you. Since we have light armor, we can have 13 slots. If we had a stab vest, we'd have 15 slots. And if we had heavy armor, we'd have 11 slots. So right now we have light armor, which gives us 13 slots. And we've made some selections on ammo type and ammo capacity. As you can see, we have 5 primary magazines and 2 secondary. But let's actually go back to our loadout, and right here under munition slots, we can click into that and get an overview of exactly what's taking up our 11 of 13 slots. So again, we have 5 primary magazines, 2 secondary, which is a total of 7 out of our 13, and it looks like we have 1 stinger grenade, 1 lockpick, and 2 wedges. Now, what you select here will also be mission dependent and preference, but let's make sure we actually use all our slots here. So let's get rid of these wedges, and we'll bring a lockpick gun just in case there's any locked doors. We'll be able to open those quicker. Let's bring a taser in case there is a non-compliant suspect. Let's grab 2 flashbangs. You know what? Let's do 3 flashbangs, and we still have 1 slot left. So let's grab a extra magazine for our sidearm. So as you can see, we have 13 of 13 slots. Our vest is now filled out, and I'm pretty happy with this. 3 flashbangs is pretty good. We have plenty of ammo, and we also have a bit of utility just in case we need it. So now we have our 13 slot light armor, Kevlar material, coverage on front and back, and we've used all 13 of 13 slots, bringing plenty of equipment and ammo for this mission. Now, before we decide what primary and secondary to bring, let's take a look at our tactical slot here, and in this case, I have the mirror gun selected, which we already kind of know how that works. That's going to allow us to look under doors to peek into other rooms and kind of help with our plan. But if we didn't want that, we could bring a tactical shield, battering ram, breaching shotgun, or grenade launchers for flashes, gas grenades, or sting grenades. Now, I'm personally going to bring the mirror gun because personally, I think this is the best tactical item you could bring with you. If you don't want the mirror gun, I would highly recommend the tactical shield or the battering ram. And a pro tip on the shield, this does a very good job at protecting your back. If you ever get stuck on hard levels or you find yourself getting flanked a lot, this is kind of a cheap way to protect your back. All right, now that we have our tactical selected, down here we have our headwear. Now we have a few options here. Under the helmet itself, we can do no helmet, helmet only, or ballistic mask. The ballistic mask is pretty good at stopping low caliber damage to you. So if someone shoots you in the face with a pistol, you'll probably survive it. Heavier, bigger guns, bigger caliber ammunition doesn't really do as good of a job. Some missions it's very helpful, some missions it's not. It will lower your visibility just a little bit, but I kind of find myself myself always just leaving it on just for that extra bit of protection. Next up, under mount, this is where you could bring some night vision goggles if you want. I personally always bring some with me because you never know when you're going to come across an area that's just extra dark and you need that extra bit of vision. You can do green phosphor or white phosphor. I think white is a little easier to see, so that's going to be my recommendation there. And finally, under face wear, you can do nothing, anti-flash goggles, or gas mask. Now, if you do a gas mask, you won't be able to use the ballistic mask as well. So you're going to have to pick one or the other. In this case, I'm going to use anti-flash goggles because I've been known to misthrow a grenade every now and then, and I don't want to blind myself. All right, now that we have our armor and munitions, our headwear, and our tactical all set up, let's actually finally pick a primary and secondary weapon. Let's go ahead and start with our secondary here. Now, starting with our secondary, we can actually click the picture of the gun itself, and we have a few options here for secondaries. All of these are going to have their pros and cons, and honestly, a lot of them are preference. I'm always a fan of the G19 or the USP. Right now, I've been playing a lot with the USP, so pick your favorite. I'm going to just stick with the USP. Now, under attachments, every gun is going to have a few different options. I'm going to go ahead and select the RMR dot. I just like the way that looks. Next, under the muzzle, I personally like using a suppressor on all my guns, so I'm going to use the Obsidian suppressor. Over here on the right, it's a little cut off because I'm playing on a widescreen monitor, but it's going to show you the buffs or debuffs that certain attachments are going to use. In this case, the suppressor is increasing muzzle velocity, accuracy, it makes it suppressed, hides muzzle flash, but it's going to cost me a bit of vertical recoil. I'm fine with that, so I'm going to keep that selected. And finally, for underbarrel, I have the flashlight selected. Now, I personally recommend using a flashlight on every single gun in this game because there are many areas of every single map that get a little dark, but not dark enough for night vision. So having a flashlight with you at all times that you can quickly turn on or turn off really is an invaluable tool on almost every single mission. So now we have our secondary all set. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the primary. So let's click on the gun itself, and at the top we can see assault rifle, submachine gun, or shotgun. Now, what you decide to bring is completely up to you. However, it is worth noting that you do have less lethal options. You can bring a pepper ball gun. You can bring a submachine gun that shoots pepper balls. You also have the beanbag shotgun. Now, a quick note on less lethal. If you want to get the secret S rating on every single level, you have to flawlessly complete the level and arrest all the suspects. Now, really, the only way to do that is to get them all to surrender and comply. So you're probably always going to need to use a less lethal solution in order to do that. But that's not as fun, so let's go ahead and bring the SR16. I personally recommend this for any new player and really any player in general because not only is the damage output on this gun really good, the recoil is also very controllable. This is just an all-around great gun, and I find myself going to this gun more often than not on pretty much any mission. So I'm going to select the SR16. Under optics, we have a variety, and these are again going to be preference, and you should try all of these out on the shooting range. My personal favorite is the Holosight EXP-S3, so I'm going to have that one selected. Under muzzle, again, I like suppressors. I'm going to select the suppressor. Under barrel, I like the angled grip or the combat grip, but I lean a little bit more toward the angled grip. I just find it a bit more useful. And finally, under over barrel, again, I'm bringing a flashlight. I have a flashlight on every gun at all times, and I use it more than anything else in this game. All right, now that we've customized every single slot, I'm going to actually save this, and I'm going to name this gas station. That's almost spelled correctly. Now with this preset saved, anytime I attempt to play the gas station level, I can just go select that preset, and I have a pretty good baseline. Yeah, maybe I'll make some tweaks here and there depending on how I'm going to play the level, but at least I have a pretty good starting point. Now that we have a loadout for ourselves, if we click where it says self, we can see Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. And this is where we can do everything again, our entire customizable loadout, but this is going to be for our AI teammates. So yeah, it does take a little bit of time to customize these and set this up in a very specific way based on your strategy. For example, the way that I set this up for most missions is I have Alpha and Bravo kind of as my heavy riflemen. They all have heavy armor, lots of ammo. They both have shields. They both have ballistic masks. And I use these as kind of heavy entry fraggers. Yeah, maybe it's not the most efficient because they're slow and clunky, but they're pretty good good at getting into a room as safe as possible. And then with Charlie and Delta, Charlie is going to have the mirror gun and Delta is going to have the battering ram, and I stack a few more tactical items on them than I would Alpha or Bravo. Since I usually send them into the room first, I don't want them to have all my tactical equipment, because if something happens to them, I won't have as much. So I stack up Delta and Charlie with a lot of flashbangs, a lot of stingers, and a lot of C4 breaching tools and tactical tools such as the mirror gun, and I rely heavily on them for a more supportive role. So of course, how you set your teammates up is completely preference, but it is worth considering how they synergize with each other and who has what equipment and what roles they're going to play as you approach each mission. All right, let's take a look at the available options we have when it comes to our primary and secondary weapon. Now, just like pretty much any FPS game, we can of course hold to ADS. However, in Ready or Not, we can also cant our sight to the side. Now, this is a setting you will have to actually bind to a key in your settings. Just know that you can actually do that and toggle it back and forth. Now, in regards to your magazine and ammo, a single press of your reload button will do a standard reload. And when you do a normal reload, you'll actually take that magazine and put it back in your vest as long as it still has ammo in it. Now, if you double tap your reload button for a tactical reload, you will reload much faster. However, you will drop the magazine. But the cool thing about this game is you can actually pick up dropped magazines. You just have to walk up to it and interact with it. However, you can only pick these drop magazines back up if there's still ammo inside. What's even cooler though is if you're playing with friends and you happen to have a magazine that shares an ammo type with your primary or secondary, you can actually drop magazines for each other. So let's say your friend runs out of ammo and you're both using the same gun. I'll hit a tactical reload and I'll drop a full mag for them to pick back up. And finally, if you hold down your reload button, this is how you can check your ammo. Now, you're not actually going to have a number that says how much ammo is still in your magazine. You're just going to have to look at this white symbol to get an idea of how full the magazine is. Now, most guns in this game have different firing modes. For example, I can press X to go to full auto, or I can press it again to go back to semi. Of course, whatever bind you set up is going to be the button you're going to need to press, but I believe the default is X. Now let's quickly talk about ammo and ammo types. Now let's say we brought armor piercing rounds and JHP rounds with us. Now if we once again hold down our reload button, not only can we see how full our magazine is, but if you look right above the ammo capacity marker, we can see it says AP or armor piercing. So we know we have a full magazine of armor piercing rounds. But while you're checking your ammo, at the bottom you can also see it's showing you a total of all other magazines in our inventory. So we can see we have a total of 6, 3 armor piercing and 3 JHP. Well, let's say we want to switch from armor piercing to JHP. What we can do is press 1 and we'll swap out ammo types. So now you can see if we check our ammo, we now have a magazine full of JHP rounds in our gun. If we want to go back to armor piercing, we're going to press 1. And if we check our ammo, we once again have armor piercing rounds. And this is going to work the exact same way if you have 2 different ammo types for your secondary as well. And finally, you also do have a melee button. I believe the default is B. This comes in handy as a less lethal option when there is an uncooperative suspect or civilian. All right, now that we have our loadout selected, let's learn a little bit about the 3 types of grenades in this game. Now, to actually bring out a grenade, you can press 3 on your keyboard or whatever bind you've set on your keyboard or on your controller. It's also important to keep in mind that when you press 3 and hold it, you can see it says scroll. While holding 3, I can use the middle mouse wheel to select between a stinger, a CS gas, or a flashbang. First, we have a flashbang. This is going to work just like any other game. You throw it, it's going to blind the enemies and make a loud bang. Now, you or your teammates can be blinded by these if you're not wearing anti-flash goggles or if you're just not paying attention. So be very careful when you throw your grenades. Next, we have the stinger grenade. Now, similar to a flashbang, this is going to make a loud banging sound, but it's going to shoot out dozens of rubber pellets, and if they hit a civilian or a suspect, more often than not, this will cause them to comply. Stinger grenades are really great for clearing large open areas because the pellets go out in a very wide area. But keep in mind, just like a flashbang, if you get hit or your teammates get hit by any of these pellets, you will also become disoriented. And finally, we have CS gas grenades. And as it sounds, it's a gas grenade, so when you throw it, after a short delay, it will start to emit some CS gas. As you can see, it does fill up the room pretty good, so you're going to want to bring a gas mask with you, otherwise you're going to become disoriented. After a brief delay, the gas will dissipate and you'll be able to see again. What's important to also remember is once you pull the pin and you're ready to throw it, you can't put it away. That grenade is not going back in my inventory. I am gonna throw it no matter what happens, whether it was an accident or not. So just be mindful that you can't put your grenade away. If you accidentally took it out and activated it, well, you're throwing it. Now, on the note of throwing grenades, as you can see, once you activate or pull the pin of a grenade, you don't have a crosshair. So how the heck do you even aim with your grenades? Well, use your left hand. You can see how my player model is kind of making a C shape with his left hand. We'll go ahead and put your target right in the middle of that C. Well, let's say I want to throw this stinger grenade into that open doorway. I'm going to use my pointer finger and my thumb, allow for a little bit of gravity and a little bit of drop off, and I'm going to aim right around there and throw. Look at that, right into the doorway. So it does take a little practice to get used to that and get used to the aim and the drop of the grenade, but once you get really good with that, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to throwing tactical grenades. And finally, when it comes to tactical grenades, there is a quick throw option. I believe the default is G, so as you're moving around, just press G. You'll take a grenade out, instantly throw it, and bring your gun right back up. Now that we have a better understanding of the tactical grenades, let's get an idea of the tactical equipment. Now, the first tactical equipment we have is the lockpick gun. Now, this is going to help us open doors faster compared to our normal multi-tool. So the lockpick gun looks like this, and our multi-tool looks like this. Now, they both are going to open doors in the same fashion, where if you walk up to a door that's locked and look at the lock, you'll unlock it. However, the lockpick gun just does it much more efficiently and quicker. Now, the main benefit of lockpicking a door is it allows for silent entry. Suspects or civilians will usually not hear you unlock a door, which then will allow you to silently breach. But that's not always as fun. So let's say you want to just breach the door the old-fashioned way with some breaching charges. You can bring out a breaching charge and you can actually apply it right to the door itself. As soon as you put the C2 down, you'll take out the detonator, and as soon as you activate it, you'll never see that door again. Now, of course, everybody in the immediate room and nearby rooms is going to hear that, but it sure is a fun way to quickly get into a room and clear it. And if there are any suspects or civilians in the immediate area on the other side of the door that you blasted, more often than not, they can also become disoriented. But keep in mind, if a suspect or a civilian are directly behind the door, they can be seriously or fatally injured. So you do have to be a little bit careful when it comes to breaching, because you definitely don't want to hurt or kill any civilians. Our next piece of tactical equipment is our wedge. This is going to go on the bottom of any door. We can look down at the bottom and deploy a wedge, and this is going to lock this door. The only way this door will now ever be able to be opened is if we remove the wedge or use a breaching charge and blow open the door. This is really helpful, especially on bigger maps, or just depending on your strategy. This will stop you from being flanked, or if you think a suspect or a civilian are going to try and run away, this is going to completely box them in. Now, to remove a wedge, just walk up to it, crouch down, equip your multi-tool, and remove your wedge. The wedge might be one of my favorite tools in this game because it really gives you that peace of mind that not only are any suspects or civilians not going to run away, you're also taking away the chance that a suspect is going to try and flank you. So I highly recommend you or a couple teammates always having a wedge. We also have two less lethal items, the pepper spray and the taser. With the pepper spray, we can take it out, aim it, and deploy it. And more often than not, after a brief delay, the suspect or the civilian will comply. Now, in a similar fashion to the pepper spray, we also have the taser, and you already know how a taser works. You pull it out, you shoot it, you give the suspect or a civilian a nice shock,
Police, get down!
Yell at them for compliance, and more often than not, they'll comply. And finally, we have our mirror gun. This is probably one of the most important tools in this game because it allows you to look under any door and get a pretty good idea if there's any suspects or civilians or traps on the other side of the door. To use the mirror gun, all you need to do is go crouch in front of a door, activate it, and now you can freely look around. The most important thing when you're using a mirror gun is always look down, immediately up and down on the left and up and down on the right. And you're checking the bottoms of each door frame to make sure there's no tripwire or traps. Again, for that tactical experience, use this picture-in-picture mode. The screen's more pixelated. It's a little harder to see, but it is much more realistic. But if you want to make your life easier, head into your options, head over to graphics, scroll down to OptiWand, and just make it full screen. And that way, you can see so much easier and so much more, and it's much easier to use the tool. Now, aside from the mirror gun, we also do have that tactical shield, that battering ram, that breaching shotgun, and those grenade launchers that will launch flash, gas, or stinger grenades. The exact same ones we just went over. So let's take a look at the tactical shield. Now, when you take your tactical shield out, it will instantly come up into this protected position. And when you ADS, you'll bring out your pistol, and now you'll be able to move around protected and still be able to shoot. Now, of course, aiming is a little awkward, so that's where using a tactical flashlight or a laser on your secondary can at least kind of give you a little bit of an idea of where you're going to be aiming, but you still won't be as accurate as if you just had your pistol out using it with two hands. Now, taking a look at the battering ram. The battering ram is going to be a great alternative to a C2 charge because this is going to be the quickest way to get through a locked door. Faster than lock picking, faster than breaching. Take out that battering ram, walk up to it, and just beat down the door. Now, as you can see, using the battering ram on a wooden door is going to make a giant hole. And yes, wooden doors are destructible. And that's also something to keep in mind. As you can see the hole that made, you can also see the damage done just by shooting a wooden door. That's important to keep in mind because as you just made this giant hole in this door, let's say there was a suspect in this corner, well, now they can just easily shoot you through this door. Maybe your team's stacked up over here ready to enter, and you just put a big hole in the door, well, now they might just shoot you right here. Now, on a metal door, works the same exact way, but you're not going to put a giant hole in the middle, and metal doors don't have the same destructibility. Now, another option is the breaching shotgun. Now, with the breaching shotgun, you're going to walk up to the door, blast off the lock, and in you go. Now, aside from breaching doors, the breaching shotgun is also... And finally, we have our 3 different grenade launchers. Now, let's just go over the flash one because they essentially all do the same thing, minus the different grenade that it's equipped with. Now, the biggest benefit of bringing a grenade launcher is not only the increased range that the launcher can actually send out the grenade, compared to throwing a grenade, watch how fast it's going to detonate. It's almost instantaneous. And finally, our last piece of tactical equipment is our tactical foot. That's right, if all else fails, you can walk up to a door, give it a big fat kick, and in you go. One note on kicking doors is if you have a broken leg from getting shot, you won't actually be able to kick open a door. Now, if a door is unlocked, you'll be able to do it in one kick, but if a door is locked, it might take between 1 and 4 kicks to finally open up that door. And speaking of doors, there's actually two different ways you can interact with doors. The first, look at it and interact with it, and it'll completely open. Your other option is you can look down at the door handle and you can peek the door. This is going to be very useful if you ever see a tripwire or a trap that you need to defuse. You definitely don't want to open the door all the way, so you can just use this peek method. Let's say we used our mirror gun and saw that there was a trap. We could peek the door, crouch down, and then we could quickly defuse the trap, close the door, and then breach however we wanted to. All right, now we have a better understanding of our tactical equipment, our loadouts, and how we can interact with all of those different things. Let's take a look at what we can do as a player in regards to movement. All right, now for player movement, the binds that you set on your keyboard or your controller, of course, are going to be preference, but one of the most useful pieces of player movement are going to be the toggle lean right and the toggle lean left. Just like many other games, this comes into handy when you're peeking around corners or trying to clear certain rooms. Those of you that are Rainbow Six Siege players or Tarkov players, you guys are already familiar with the whole leaning left and leaning right mechanic, and it's really no different in Ready or Not. It works the exact same way. It's a lean left and it's a lean right. Now you are able to crouch in this game, but you're not able to prone. So you're either going to be standing up or you're going to be crouched, but you can't go prone. Now, if you are crouched, you will have a little bit of a movement speed decrease. You move much slower crouched than you do standing completely up. And remember, your movement speed when standing up is also dependent on the type of armor you're wearing, whether that's no armor, a stab vest, a light armor, or heavy armor, and the type of plates that you're bringing. If it's Kevlar, steel, or ceramic, those also play a factor in movement speed. Now, regardless of your armor, if you're walking while leaned in one direction, you will also be going slower than normal. It becomes even worse if you're leaned and crouched as well. It's also important to note there's no run in this game, so this is pretty much max speed unless you take advantage of that toggle low ready setting we talked about earlier in the settings. So here's my movement speed with my gun up in the ready position and just walking normal, and as soon as I drop it to low ready, you get a very small increase in movement speed. And this really does come in handy in a lot of different levels, or if you just need to move between cover as quick as possible. So definitely don't forget you have that toggle low ready position and take advantage of it when you need to quickly move around. If for some reason you're moving around a map and you just feel like you're going extra slow, you may be leaned without even realizing it, or you might be crouched without realizing it. So if you ever feel like you're going extra slow, double check your stance, double check your lean position, and that should make sure you're moving as quick as possible. Finally, keep in mind if you get too close to a surface such as a wall or a door, you will automatically bring your gun up and not be able to ADS or shoot until you're far enough back where your gun actually has room to deploy. Alright, now that we have a basic understanding of player movement, let's get a better idea of how to move our AI teammates around the map and issue them commands. Alright, so your AI teammates. Now, this does get a little complicated, so for the sake of this video, I want to keep it as simple as possible and at least give you the tools and a basic understanding to where you can go practice and kind of learn all the things you can do with your teammates. Now, when it comes to your AI teammates, the most important thing to remember, in order to issue any sort of command, you have to use the team menu. Now, I have this bound on my middle mouse button for quick and easy access, but it's totally up to you. Whether you're on keyboard and mouse or on a console, bind this menu to a button you are able to quickly access because you will use it a lot once you get the hang of it. Now, with this menu open, you can see that all the text is gold. That means the command that you give is going to be assigned to your entire team. Remember, you have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta separated into red team and blue team, and each team has 2 officers. So for example, if I cycle through the menu, red. See how it changes to red? That means I'm only selecting Alpha and Bravo, or red team, or if I flick this to blue, and now I've selected Charlie and Delta. Again, I have this bound to the middle mouse wheel, and then I use the scroll wheel to quickly cycle through the team I want to select. Now, as you can see, we have a handful of commands we can give. We have move to, fall in, cover, hold, deploy, or search room. And if you see next to fall in or deploy, you have those 3 lines there, which means there's additional options in that command. So for example, if I press 2 for fall in, I can actually have them fall in single file, double file, diamond, or wedge, and that's going to change their formation shape. Now, if we go back, which for me is tab, we can also see down below on deploy, that also has additional options. So if we hit 5 and go into that menu, deploy flashbang, deploy stinger, deploy CS gas, which is grayed out because I didn't assign any CS gas to any of my teammates' loadout. I can also deploy a chem light or deploy a shield. So what you have here is going to be dependent on the loadout you've set up for your teammates. Now, out of these commands, move to, fall in, cover, hold, and deploy are pretty self-explanatory. But the last one here, search room, how that works is your teammates will immediately search the room that you're in, and they're going to look for any weapons that may have been dropped by suspects or civilians that have not yet been detained. So this is a really helpful way to kind of get through each room quicker and make sure all suspects, civilians, and pieces of evidence like weapons are secured. Now, with that all being said, it's also important to remember that the options you currently have to issue a command are going to change based on where you're looking. Now, when you have this menu open, if you see in the center of my screen, you have a very small translucent crosshair, and that's essentially your aim point for your command menu. So watch what happens if I bring that small little circle crosshair over to this door. You can now see my command menu has way more options and sub options. And that's now because we're looking at a door or a doorway. If I look back to the right at a wall or at just an open area, I have more move commands and deploy commands. But if I look back over at a door or a doorway, we now have entry related commands. And as we can see, stack up, open, breach, scan, mirror under door, wedge door, cover, or open door are now new options. And don't forget, we can see we have those 3 lines next to stack up, open, breach, and scan. That means we have additional options if we press one of those commands. For example, as we look at this door here, if we press 1 to stack up, we can see that we can order our teammates to stack up in a split formation on the left side of the door, on the right side of the door, or auto, they'll just go to whatever position they need to fill. If we go back and look at the open command, we can see we have open, clear with flashbang, open, clear with stinger, clear with gas, clear with launcher, which we don't have with us, which is why that section is grayed out, or clear with leader. Clear with leader means your teammates will wait at the door and go in only after you go in first. Next, under breach, we have breach, kick, breach shotgun, which again is grayed out because no one has a breaching shotgun, breach C2, breach ram, breach leader. Again, leader meaning your teammates are going to wait for you, the leader, to do something first. In this case, it would be breach the door. Now, this is a good example because as you can see, when we went into this breach menu, we have another sub menu in a sub menu. In other words, remember, we have a sub menu because we have those 3 lines next to breach. So we're going to breach, and we have 3 lines again on all of these options, meaning there's going to be another option. So we're under breach. Let's do breach and kick. And now we can breach, kick, and we can clear with flashbang, stinger, so on and so forth. As you get more comfortable with this, you'll quickly go through your selections. So for example, we bring open our command menu, look at a door. We want to breach, kick, clear with flashbang,
deploy flashbangs,
and our teammates are going to go do exactly that. Now, looking back in this menu, specifically when we're looking at a doorway, we also have the option to scan. And what that means is in the scan menu, we can slide, pie, or peek the door. And this is just a way to get a little more intel before actually going into the room. So for example, if we say pie the room,
pie the door,
one teammate will go up to the door, crack the door, and pie the door.
No weapons in sight.
From there, he'll give you an overview of what they saw. In that case, they said 2 suspects, no weapons in sight. So that's one command that you can use to safely get some more intel on what's on the other side of a doorway. Now, similar to the scan command, you can also mirror under the door if you have a mirror gun or an opti wand assigned to one of your teammates. So if we select mirror under door,
Mirror it. On it.
as you can see,
Wand is ready.
our teammate that has the mirror gun is going to mirror under the door. And similar to when he pied the door, he's going to give you intel about what he sees on the other side of the door. Now, the last few commands, wedge door, which is grayed out in this case because, again, nobody has wedges assigned to them in their loadout. But remember, wedges can be very useful to stop flanks or to keep suspects or civilians in or contained in a room. We also have cover or open door. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of different commands that you can issue your teammates to successfully breach, enter, and clear a room, or just get more intel about what's on the other side. Now, before we move on to a few more advanced techniques and learning about how to split our teams into 2 and give them separate commands and give them a hold command to wait to actually execute their command, let's put everything we've learned so far together and watch what it looks like to use the available commands to not only get some intel about what's on the other side of the door, but successfully breach and clear. All right, so I have my teammates currently following me. I'm going to bring this menu up and I'm going to have them stack up on both sides of the door. They're going to move into position. All right, now that our team is in position, let's get some intel by mirroring under the door so we know what's on the other side.
Wand it. Got it.
Our teammate with the wand will approach, deploy the wand.
Nothing. We're good. Several contacts. Appear unarmed.
With that intel, we know there's several contacts, probably unarmed, but we're not 100% sure. So let's go ahead and open, clear with flashbang.
Flash it. On it. Flash. Block with me.
As soon as the flash detonates, everyone's going to move in, clear the room. Everyone will spread out into a part of the room and clear their area. And as soon as the room is clear, your teammates will drop a chem light indicating this room has been cleared and it's secured. Now let's say we were in a hurry and we don't want to stack up on this door and check it. We just want to get in as fast as possible. We're going to open that menu, breach, C2, clear with flashbang, and we're just going straight in as quick and as loud as possible. As you can see, the door went flying, but your teammates are still going to go in and clear the room just like normal. And as soon as it's clear, they're dropping that chem light. Now that we have a better idea of how to control our AI teammates at a basic level, let's go over a few advanced commands that we can give our AI teammates and how to use them much more efficiently. Now, the first thing we want to take a look at is in the actual command menu. If you look at the bottom of our command box here, it says left shift Q command. Now, it says left shift because that's the bind that I have set to issue Q commands. Now, to actually set or change the hold command button, you just need to go into your options under the teamwork tab and look for the option that says hold command. Again, mine's set to left shift, but it's completely preference. And how the Q command is going to work is, let's say we want to open this door here, but we want to give our teammates a slight delay. All we need to do is hold down that Q command, and now we can see at the bottom it says queuing. Then we can, let's say, open and clear.
Area. Roger that.
Our teammates are going to get into position and they're just going to sit there until we once again bring that command menu back up and hit execute.
Go, go, go.
So up until the point you execute the command, your teammates will just sit there waiting for that order you gave them. Now, as you saw, the hold command or the Q command is pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy to use, but here's where it becomes a little bit more useful. Now, if we take a look at these two doors here, we can actually do the same thing, but we can split our team in two different directions. So let's say we want blue team to open and clear with flash,
Getting into place.
and we want red team to open, clear with stinger. We can once again use the hold or the Q command, but we can split our team up and give them two different tasks. Now, once both teams are set, we can bring that command menu back up to execute that command for gold or for everybody at the same exact time. However, if we want to delay one team or have another team go in first, whatever we might want to do, we can simply cycle through our command menu and execute the command for the corresponding team. So let's say we want to send blue through this door first, followed by red after a small delay. So we'll go ahead and flick over to blue, and then immediately to red,
Flash out.
and now we'll execute red.
Opening on the left.
And just like that, we sent blue team into the diner area. They opened, flashed, and cleared. And then over here, after a short delay, we sent red into this door to open, sting, and clear. Now let's do this one more time with a more real world example and kind of go over why it might be important to do something like that. Now let's take a look at our map here. As we can see, there's one entrance over here where we actually just sent blue team in, and there's an outside entrance right here, and we have this huge open area that extends even down over here on the right. Let's go ahead and actually put blue team here, have them open, flash, and clear, and after a short delay, let's send red team up on this outside door to come in here with just a basic open and clear command. Now, the reason we're going to do this is because after the flashbang goes off over in this corner, ideally any suspects or civilians in this area are going to be distracted or focused on blue team here, allowing red team to come in this way and either get a nice flank in or just come in for support. All right, so we're currently right here at this door that's going to lead into the dining area. Let's select blue team, open, clear with flash on a queued command. And as you can see, it's prepped to execute when we decide to do it. And now let's select red team and just have them fall in behind us. And we're gonna make our way over to the other side or the outside of the dining area. So here we are on the outside. Let's go ahead and have them just open and clear on a hold command. Now, this is a great example because once they got into position on an open and clear command, they're still going to check the door and if it's locked or unlocked. And in this case, they said it was locked. So if we execute this command, nothing's going to happen because they can't open and clear because the door is locked. So what we would need to do, we'd have to regroup with red team, cancel that, and now we'd have to change our command, and you can see we now have the option to pick lock because they've now checked the door. So keep in mind, sometimes you'll set a command to open the door or open and clear, and you might go elsewhere waiting to execute that command only for them to say, oh, it's locked, and now they can't actually get in. So you're gonna have to go back around, cancel that command, and re-queue it with something different. So in this case, of course, we could have them pick the lock, but instead of opening and clearing, let's just breach by kicking and then clearing. So just to recap, we're right here with red team and we have blue team down here waiting to open, flash, and clear. And once we execute their command and that flash goes off and they start clearing, we'll go ahead and execute red team's command to come in and start clearing as well to assist blue team. So we'll bring open the command menu, we'll execute blue, prep red, and as soon as we hear that flash, we'll execute red.
Flash.
Go, go, go.
Opening on the left. Going in. Got a hallway to the right. Opening on the left.
There's blue team over there clearing their side, and now we have red team coming in clearing this side. So there's blue team there. There's red going to his corner. So definitely consider using that hold command, or that split and hold command, as I like to call it, where you take two teammates, send them over on one entrance, and another two teammates, setting them on another entrance, and then queuing up two different commands when entering a room or a building, because this really is going to give you a much better chance of entering and clearing a room and getting any suspects or civilians that might be inside to cooperate or surrender without you or your teammates getting injured. Now let's take this one step further and not only split up our teammates, but we'll also split ourselves up from our teammates. So looking at our map one more time, let's set blue team down to this side like we just did, and they're gonna hold, open, flash, and clear. We'll put red team back on that same entrance we just came through to hold, open, sting, and clear. And then down here on the bottom right, let's position ourselves to come in on this entrance or this doorway, and then link back up with our teammates up on the right side here. And this way, we're making sure no suspects or civilians are going to escape. We're also giving ourselves the absolute best chance to enter this big, wide open area without any of us getting injured. All right, so here we are with blue team on the bottom left. Let's go ahead and queue up a open, clear with flash command. So now that they're queued, let's make our way over to red team. And here we are back with red team. Let's queue them to open, clear with stinger.
And cover the area.
And now let's go get into position ourselves at the other doorway. All right, and here we are at the other doorway. Just to confirm, we have blue team here entering with a flashbang. We have red team here entering with a stinger, and we're currently right down here, and we're going to just enter right here and clear this side. Now, if you remember from last time, we had blue go in first, and after a small delay, we then sent in red team, but this time we want them to do everything at the same time, so we have to make sure we have gold, or all teams, selected. So let's get ourselves into position, execute this command, and we'll all go in together.
Move.
Wait for the flash.
Let's go! Opening on the left, right side. Opening on the left.
And just like that, our entire team made entry and quickly and efficiently clear this entire room.
Empty over here.
So taking everything we've learned so far about our AI teammates and what we can do with them, let's go through a real world example of what it might look like once you get really comfortable with your teammates, their commands, their split commands, or hold commands, and watch how easy it is to get around and clear different areas of different maps. So for this example, I'm not going to say anything. I just want you guys to actually look at the command menu and what my selections are as we're going to move around part of this map, just so you can get an idea of how you can really use your teammates to your advantage to clear certain areas. All right, let's get started.
Check it with the mirror.
All right. Wand ready. More than one opening. Negative on any devices. Contact. Armed.
Ran the door. Deploy flashbangs.
Taking it down.
Opening on the right.
Forward, left side. Looks clear over here, boss.
Blue, move in and clear.
Put the weapon down! Get down on the floor right now!
Move in and clear.
No problem.
Chem light.
Contact is down.
Doc here. We have rules outlined for a reason.
Stay
Active
here.
within
Do not get in our way.
I'll get the closet.
Open, bang, and clear.
Doc reporting. We're ready for him.
Blue team. Use a stinger.
Police, get down! Down on the ground!
Got him.
Provide cover.
I'm going. Cuffs are on.
This was a mistake.
Entry team to TOC.
This is Doc.
Move,
Notifying
move.
trailers.
So as you can see, there's just a couple examples of different things you can do with your teammates. We had them check under doors, open and clear, kick doors, breach doors. We had blue team deploy a sting grenade around some uncooperative suspects to get them to actually comply. So this was just a quick example of kind of showing you guys what you can actually do with your teammates to quickly and efficiently and effectively get around different parts of the map when there's actually suspects and civilians together, and you want to be able to secure or neutralize any suspects before this ends up happening. Because yes, suspects will take hostages, so your aim better be good if you can't clear the area before it gets to that point. Alright, for the last part of this video, I want to run through the entire gas station level with you guys, just so you can see how I would approach this level in order to get an A+ rating. Now remember, to get an A+ rating, we can't have any unauthorized uses of force. We must secure all suspects and civilians, all pieces of evidence and weapons, and even the soft objectives. If you're not familiar with soft objectives, certain maps have quote-unquote secret things to report or to find, and you are going to need these if you want to get that A+ rating. I know we're probably all tired of this gas station level by now, but I don't want to spoil any parts of this game for you guys, so we're just going to play this level one more time, and then once we're done with this level, I'll go ahead and wrap up this video.
Gold. On my 6.
On you.
Talk. Wounded civilian stable and prep for evac.
Talk here. Notifying Thames.
Split the stack on this door.
Police, stay where you are.
Doors unlocked.
LSPD, don't move. Hands in the air. Police, I want to
Cover the area.
Don't run or reach for anything.
Explosive ready. I'll do it. Ready? Going in. Open it on the right. Light stick out.
Chem light out. Secure the area.
On it. Ready.
Who are you? I got you, don't worry. Good to go.
Really?
Necessary?
Dumped ready.
Talk to lead. Trailer's en route.
Civilian ready for transit.
Blue team, provide
Lead,
cover.
this is
On my way.
Talk. We're ready.
Show me your hands. Drop the weapon and down. What are you doing?
Police, hands up!
Talk to entry team. You are clear to proceed.
Let me go. I'll tell you everything.
Element to talk. Civilian good to go for evac.
Talk to lead. Keep going.
Light stick. Cover this area.
Moving up.
All teams, move over there. Provide support on me. Use the mirror, check for targets.
Wand is ready. Opening on the right. Nothing. We're good. One suspect in sight.
Post up and cover the area.
Getting into place. Damn it! Locked. You're gonna move.
Go, go, go!
Bang out.
Charge ready.
Got an opening up ahead. Opening on the left.
I'll do it. Setting it now.
Hands up now. Drop to your knees. Hands up. Do it now.
Opening
Put
on
the
the
weapon
left.
down.
On the ground.
Police, drop the weapon. Police, don't move. Drop your weapon! Police, down on the ground! Get down!
Making it safe.
Get down! I want to see hands up above your head! Police, get down! Get on the ground now!
Good to go.
Less lethal, less lethal.
With no police!
Element, this is Talk.
Hands up!
Notifying
Do it
trailers.
now!
Police, don't move!
Keep your hands up!
Fuck yourself!
Get down on your knees!
Suspect good to go.
Search and secure.
Lead, this is Talk. Proceed with mission.
You have anything else on you? Weapons?
Making it safe. Sit up.
Move to my front.
Heading out now.
Deploying chem light.
Talk to Element. Trailers on the way.
Blue team. Move and clear.
Acknowledge.
Hands up now!
I don't want to
Hands
get
on your
shot,
head.
okay?
Turn around. Don't move and stay put.
Get your hands off me!
Entry team to talk. Civilian cuffed and prepped for evac.
What's key over here?
I didn't know it would go this far.
Search the room for contacts.
Acknowledged.
I'll get him ready.
Lead to talk. Civilian is dead.
Element, this is Talk.
Civilian is
Damage
cuffed and good to
notified.
go. Here.
This is Talk. That's how we get it done, folks. Roll in for debrief.
If you guys enjoyed today's video and learned something, give this video a thumbs up or feel free to hit that subscribe button. It really is going to help get this video out in front of more players. And other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video.